What's up, guys? This is Jensen and welcome to another video. So most of the big names are signed during NFL free agency, and even though there are guys like Jadeveon Clowney and Robbie Anderson still on the free agency market who could change teams, and obviously the NFL draft is still there, we don't know how that's going to change some of these teams. I'm going to take a look at some of the overrated teams in the NFL at the moment, and right now the most overrated team in the NFL is the Indianapolis Colts. I think that signing Philip Rivers to a 1-year, $25 million contract was a huge mistake. This dude is a turnover machine. He's clearly on the decline at age 38 years old. It's unlikely that he's even going to provide average quarterback play. So when we look at the Indianapolis Colts, even though they have a good offensive line, even though T.Y. Hilton's there, he's a stud. Marlon Mack is a really, really good running back. He's not a leader or anything, but it's just good. So when we look at what Indianapolis has, I really feel like Philip Rivers, he's going to be one of the bottom 5 quarterbacks in the NFL because I think that at this point, Philip Rivers, he's just too much on the decline. I think he's really just a backup quarterback in the NFL right now, but obviously the name Philip Rivers is still getting him paid. So credit to Philip Rivers for getting $25 million, but he ain't worth it at this point. And it's a shame because when we're looking at that Indianapolis defense, it's a really intriguing defense with a guy like Darius Leonard, one of the best linebackers in the NFL. Looking at a guy like DeForest Buckner, this dude, he was a Pro Bowl defensive tackle last year. So when we're looking at that defense, it's really promising, but that offense is really going to deflate them. I expect a 6-10 record, maybe even 5-11 if things go really bad in Indianapolis. I think that they're being really overrated. They're definitely not in contention for the AFC South as of right now. And that's just where I'm at right now with the Indianapolis Colts. Now, let's look at the Minnesota Vikings. I think that this team is currently being overrated. And I was a huge fan of the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, I'm a Chicago Bears fan, so I'm not really happy that they were doing good. But in terms of the talent they had on that roster, I really thought that they could have made a run at the Super Bowl. Obviously, it didn't pan out. They ran into San Francisco, and that was that. But now, all of a sudden, they trade away Stephon Diggs. I think that Kirk Cousins could get exposed next year. Because when we're looking at a guy like Adam Thielen, he's a really good wide receiver, but if he's getting double teamed, then who else would the Vikings currently have on the roster? I think they're going to have to draft someone, but it's unlikely that a dude they draft in even the first or second round is going to give you the type of production that Stephon Diggs would have given them. Kyle Rudolph is a nice tight end, but he's not really a game breaker or anything. Even though they have Dalvin Cook, and he's one of the best running backs in the NFL, I think Kirk Cousins is going to take a step back. And that's a shame because I think that he gets a lot of unfair criticism. I think that this dude is actually a really good quarterback. I think that if you surround him with the right talent, he could definitely win the Super Bowl. But without Stephon Diggs, you're really taking away the pairing that made the Vikings special. That's why I really believed in them because on top of Dalvin Cook, obviously, the pairing of Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen, I really thought that was a game-breaking duo. But you take that away, the Vikings are more or less ordinary. Even with that defense, that should still be above average. I'm thinking more of a 8-8, maybe 9 or 7 record for the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know if they'll really be in the playoff contention discussion. Maybe they can sneak in as a wild card, but any hopes of a Super Bowl are probably dead right now without Stephon Diggs. And finally, the last team that's being overrated right now is the New England Patriots. Now, losing Tom Brady, obviously the big blow to them, but I think they still would have been around 10 or 6, 11 or 5 if they would have been able to get a guy like Andy Dalton, if they would have been able to get a game manager like that, because Bill Belichick is a wizard. Josh McDaniels still one of the best offensive coordinators in the NFL. They would have figured it out. Look at the dudes they have at quarterback. It looks like an absolute depression pit. When we're looking at a guy like Jarrett Stidham, I know they believe in him as a 4th rounder from last year, but he hasn't really shown us anything yet that really should give anyone confidence that he can be the franchise quarterback whatsoever. We're looking at a guy like Brian Hoyer. He's old. He's not the answer. Let's move on. Cody Kessler, he is very unimpressive with his time in Cleveland. And when we're looking at the holes of that New England offense, it's concerning. The offensive line is okay, not great. But when we look at the wide receiver position, there's a lot of variables there. Julian Edelman, he's a nice, consistent wide receiver. But when we're looking at a guy like N'Keal Harry, he's really up in the air. We don't know if he's going to be able to fulfill his potential. So they might have to draft a wide receiver. When we're looking at running back, Michelle is nice, but I think he's more of a committee type guy. He can't really carry the team by himself, so that's a concern for New England. And when we're looking at that defense, even though they should be pretty good next year, they lost Kyle Van Noy. this dude is a very underrated linebacker. So the Patriots defense could take a step back as well. They have the hardest schedule in the NFL. And even though Bill Belichick is a wizard, with the quarterbacks they have, that's my main concern. The quarterbacks they have, and I know Bill Belichick all those years ago took a Matt Castle-led team to 11-5 record, but these dudes shouldn't really inspire anyone to have any confidence in them. I expect a 7-9 record because also they have the hardest schedule in the NFL. We can't forget about that. So these teams are the most overrated as of right now. It can obviously change because of the NFL draft. We don't know what's going to happen from here on out with some of these free agents. But as of right now, these are the overrated teams in the NFL, according to me. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Please like and subscribe. I'll be providing more NFL and NBA hot takes as the season goes on. Have a good day. Remember to follow me on Twitter, Jensen Sports. See y'all later.